And welcome back to the UIA Trusted Partners Podcast. On today's episode, I have Jim Rusk, Sales Manager at Christenson Restoration Cleaning Company. Jim, how are we doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Dylan. How are you doing this morning?
You know, it's Friday. It's a nice, cool day out today. I think today is going to be a great start to a fantastic holiday weekend.
Living the dream, baby. I got you.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, Jim, you and I have met outside of work at a little networking kind of get together. We actually met at somebody who's going to be coming on the show later, a couple weeks from now. It'll be Torch and Cutter. And first off, what were your impressions about Torch and Cutter? I'm just kind of curious, gauging who all was there. You know,
I love it.
It was cool.
Shout out to Torch and Cutter. Shout out to Andrew and Crystal Fetter for letting me know about Torch and Cutter, a friend of theirs. I'm a cigar guy, so yes, definitely something that I was very much interested in, and it's a very unique space that they have. Yeah. It's a very unique idea. I think they're doing a great job. Anything I can do to help promote them, I'm happy to do. So,
absolutely. Yes. Hence the little mention here.
There you go.
That was a kind of a cool way for us to get to know each
Agreed.
other too, because very relaxed atmosphere, very open and inviting as well.
Absolutely.
So I loved that, and it was awesome getting to know you outside of business-wise too, because I always understand, networking. Everybody kind of has their business front on a little bit to kind of get the brass tacks down, and then you kind of open them up as it goes.
Put the guard down a little bit.
It was nice.
We were all pretty relaxed, and even seated was a thing too.
Yeah.
So
that was really nice. But let's dive into things here. Christenson Restoration Company.
Yep. So it's Christenson Cleaning and Restoration Company.
See, I knew I was going to botch this one of these.
It's
Christenson Cleaning and Restoration Company.
There you go.
I should be.
I always like to lead with the cleaning side of things. So.
I like that. Yes, the Christenson Cleaning and Restoration Company. I'm curious. Number one, how'd you get into this line of work? It's not for everybody, so I am interested to know how you got there. And how long have you been in this industry?
Gotcha. That's a great question. I get asked this quite often because anybody that may know what my facade looks like, I don't necessarily look like a cleaning and restoration salesman.
Nor I an insurance agent.
And I'm happy with that, regardless. No, a friend of mine several years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, pre-pandemic time frame, it might even have been around the pandemic time frame. He worked as a personal trainer, and here we were both at home with our kids and a lot of time on our hands, and we'd talk for about an hour every day, just about anything under the sun. And he had told me about some clients of his that he goes, it's just really interesting the work that they do. And he goes, I never would have thought about it before, and they're looking to maybe expand at some point. And at that point in time, I wasn't between things, but I had my own little thing going, and it wasn't something that I really loved doing altogether. Right. And due to the pandemic, it kind of shut down. So I was really just kind of sitting there twiddling my thumbs a little bit. Yeah, I had sold a company. I was doing some other things. Yeah. Regardless, I got introduced to my former employer. I worked for them for about 3 years. So I kind of just fell backwards into the industry, brutally honest. After a course of time, I had an opportunity to move over with Charlie, my boss. He's a second generation owner. He's trying to expand into this area. He's from Hastings originally. That's where the company was started. Based from
a lot of Hastings and Grand Island.
Yep, Central Nebraska projects. Stuff. Yeah, big stuff. And so wanting to get into this footprint, so I took the bull by the horns and said, let's give it a shot. And I lovingly joke with him often to say I didn't realize I was on the campaign trail. And I go to a lot of these networking events, and I usually have a suit on, and I'm usually hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Cleaning. It's okay, but yeah. So that's it. I've been in the industry for about 3.5, 4 years right now.
Nice. And I love that was kind of how you get into it, because sometimes you get these stories of, it was my dream and I just have this really great aspiration, which is awesome, but that is not everybody's path in life, and that's not how everybody finds their way into things.
Exactly.
So I love hearing kind of the other side of it, so to speak, of like, hey, I kind of stumbled backwards into it.
Totally.
It just turned into something great.
Totally.
I love that. Now, on your website, you have a huge range of what you guys really take on for jobs. So I'd love for you to kind of go into some of those services that you offer, and what would you you kind of say is your most popular service, if you had one?
Excellent question. Yeah, it throws a bit of a curveball with the whole cleaning and restoration side of things. And that's simply just for the Omaha location itself. There in Hastings, we have a fantastic crew that does the restoration side. We will eventually be getting more of that service here in Omaha, Lincoln, and other surrounding areas. We just don't have the bandwidth for it at this point in time, and we wanted to stranglehold a lot of the other things. So right now, I would say it's your basic outsourced janitorial services. Okay. So for commercial cleaning. So anybody that basically from a church, a school, an office space that is used to regular cleaning on a regular basis, maybe at one point in time actually had an in-house janitor, maintenance person, what have you. We provide specialized services for that. Everything from hospitals to even manufacturing facilities. There's kind of a wide range of different services that are provided. But then also we've been doing more and more construction final cleans. So if somebody comes in and they build a new space or they do a renovation, they need somebody to do that.
Usually some drywall dust left around.
Just a little bit, yeah. What we found is partnering with a lot of these construction companies and getting to know them, they've really embraced us simply from the standpoint, a lot of other companies are not doing it, but also there's a need for it, and it is part of the overall construction
process.
Bid,
you got to clean up after yourself.
Exactly, and if you don't hire somebody that specializes in that, you're getting your guys who are specialists at drywall or specialists at other things, and they're not specialists at cleaning, so they're just kind of swirling some dust around. And over the years, kind of what got Charlie and I talking about it was, I can't tell you how many times I would go into a new construction facility and they'd say, "Oh, well, they're part of the bid was they do a construction clean," and they'd call me 3 days later and they go, "Yeah, they just kind of swirled some dust around. This place is still filthy. Can you guys come in and do a deep clean at that point in time?" So it's a little bit of a perfect segue to say, "Hey, let's clean it up for you," so that they can hand the keys over to you. But then once you're in there, hey, how can I help you out on a regular basis? So that's an awesome little way of doing it.
Yeah, that's an awesome kind of handshaking another hand, shaking another hand. That
was the idea.
Full circle. Yeah,
that was the idea. So far, so good.
Which is fantastic. I love hearing that because that's healthy growth as well.
Correct.
And I am curious now, what is the toughest service that you offer to pull off?
Honestly, floor care. A lot of people will want, some carpet cleaning. They'll want deep cleans of vinyl flooring and things like that. And I say that meaning the toughest, not in the clean itself. It's from the standpoint of getting it scheduled and into the calendar, into the work side of things. There's a lot of need for it. Fair enough. We have a lot of people calling about it. And usually when you're calling about those services, it's, I needed it 2 weeks ago. And so it's like, I'm going to be at least 2 weeks before I can get to it. So it's a great problem to have.
It is.
But in the same regard, it's probably the toughest thing where God bless my operations guys, because they basically get stuck with all the stuff that I'm out there selling left and right. Hey, let's make stuff happen. And they're going, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate the help.
We love this job security, but really, Jim, you're killing me right now. So, I try, and I think you said it there, kind of the chaos-free growth is the way that everybody looks for, but you're always going to have a little bit of muddy in the waters,
Yeah, you made the joke before we got on there, Murphy riding shotgun. That's an old podcast adage as well.
Absolutely.
So it's in every business line. If you don't know that expression, Murphy's Law says anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Absolutely.
So the joke is Murphy rides shotgun with you. Now, I'm curious, since you've been in this for a decent amount of time right now, and you've been kind of seeing a lot of changes industry-wide through multiple different industries, and kind of have some cool optics on that. What has been one of your favorite experiences as these times have been changing and you've kind of had to adapt with them?
I think the biggest thing that I notice is the opportunity to educate. It's probably the thing that I spend the most time doing. A lot of people don't quite understand the work that we do, especially on the commercial side of things. They think about it from the standpoint of, well, when I have the gal that comes and cleans my house, she does this and this and this, and God bless her, that's fantastic. That's not the same type of cleaning. It's one of those things that maid service and commercial cleaning are two separate things. Everybody kind of lumps them all into the same industry heading, which isn't a bad thing.
Sure.
But that education comes in of just saying, okay, I understand where you're at, and that's going to be an expectation level. And I can get you to that point, but I don't know if you're going to be willing to pay for that type of service.
Right.
An adage that my former employer had utilized, and I still use it to this day, was what we do isn't rocket science. It's something that if I can figure it out and do it well, anybody can do it. And I say that lovingly and with respect, but it's basically you're giving us money, we're giving you time.
Right.
That time is being spent meeting your expectation level, making sure that all of the tasks that have been provided are getting done efficiently and effectively, and we're moving on and basically being unnoticed.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of one of the cool parts about your business that you guys have is it's seemingly very seamless. And it's very easy to get involved with and work with and partner with because of how you can schedule things. And again, it's back to that healthy growth stage and how you guys have set yourselves up for the future right now. And I love it because, again, I hear nothing but good things when I do mention you. It's like, oh, yeah, I've met Jim. Great guy. Love him.
So I'll dodge that bullet.
No, I hear great things, actually.
I appreciate that.
Especially about the cleaning company as well, the services you guys do. Fantastic reviews on them. But I am very, very curious. Somebody coming up to you, you're asking or reaching out to you about some commercial cleaning. What is something that maybe they should know more about? Either, the time you're sitting down to kind of finalize things or go through that process of what they're going to be needing. What's something that I, as the customer coming to you, should really have planned or prepared when I come to talk?
That's a great question. The reason I say that is because so many people will come up to me and say, I just want it clean.
Right.
Well, my definition of clean and your definition of clean could be varying,
we see that in the restaurant industry of
Absolutely.
Who says what's clean.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I like to tell people, be as specific with me as you can be. So that way I know exactly what it is you are looking for. And it also gives me the opportunity to say, I don't know if we're a good fit for you.
That's fair. And that's a fair conversation to have with somebody.
It really is. And it's something that I think any person in business, whether it's insurance, whether it's commercial cleaning, whether it's floor care, whatever, you take your pick, you do have that point where everybody wants to grow their business. We all do. It's the name of the game, it's the lifeblood of everything. But there's also that time of going, I don't know if we can be successful at that.
Right.
And I don't want to set us up for failure. So it's not a lack of confidence. It's exactly the opposite. It's I know what we do well and where we specialize. And if this isn't one of those areas, I'm going to respectfully decline, and I could probably give you somebody who might be better at that.
Right.
So I say that from the standpoint, tell me exactly what it is you're looking for, and then that gives me the opportunity to educate. The thing that I like the most about the work that I do is that at the end of the day, I wanted to be a football coach. I like to instruct. I like to coach. I like to talk to people about that stuff. And whether you believe it or not, I do that a lot in this line of work.
I believe it.
Because it's something saying, hey, I know we have X amount of time that we can get this work done because, security's coming in or the alarm's going to be going off. So we have from, let's say, 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. to get this work done. Well, how much work is there to be done? How specific do you need it? How much space is there? Et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of an algebraic equation, to be honest with you. A lot of different variables that go into there, and then saying, okay, can we get this done?
Right.
Are based on their expectation level and what we can provide, I can provide it. Is it going to fall into their budget as well? So being able to talk to people about that, I had one just the other day where, we have this great commercial kitchen, and they're used to doing this, and I walk into this kitchen, and Dylan, it's immaculate, and the chef that's inside of there, lovely woman, takes pride in her workspace, doesn't want us coming in.
Yep.
And I can tell. And I lovingly joked with them and said, if I could hire her to come work for me, I'd do it. They're like, hands off, Mr. No way. And I'm like, I get it. But I say that from the standpoint of you eliminating that from the scope of work or the task list that we have buys you so much extra time, because a space like that is big. It's very detailed work. It takes a lot of time to do it, to meet that expectation level. I'm never going to get to the point that she's at with it.
Right.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Let her do
God
that.
bless. Let me take the time that I would have spent there and put it into something else inside of this scope, and help win you back some hours and some time. And it was, you could just see the light bulb going off as you would sit there and talk with them about that. So,
well, I can imagine too, especially coming from a cleaning professional, that what she's doing is phenomenal, and don't touch what she's doing. I can imagine the light bulb there was just like, oh God, we got to make sure she's happy.
Exactly. Like, I don't want to come in and use the wrong, degreaser or whatever it is, and going, oh great, wow.
Oh yeah, I just ruined everything for the food tonight. Sorry, guys. I'm with you. And again, when it's in that line of work too, I imagine there's got to be a list of protocols if you are going into a kitchen. Hey, what's safe to use here? What you cannot use here? Yeah. And so again, that's why you trust professionals like yourself. Jim Rusk, sales manager at Christenson Cleaning and Restoration Company here in Omaha. Well, branch here in Omaha, originally from Hastings and Grand Island. So it's a Nebraska-based company.
Correct, yeah.
It's actually out in my neck of the woods.
There you go.
The Calamus area myself.
There you go.
So, it'd be remiss if I said I hadn't heard of you guys. Now, I'm sure listeners are very, very curious as well, the areas you offer service in. We kind of touched on Hastings, Grand Island for the most part, here in Omaha as well. How does that territory map kind of look? Do you guys go to Lincoln, or is it more just Omaha Central?
It's expanding on a daily basis.
Love that.
I've been in Kearney in the last couple of weeks. We have a couple of different projects that we're working on there. Obviously, Grand Island, always part of it. I like to say the I-80 corridor, especially across Nebraska. I'm not in North Platte yet, but I'd be remiss to say I get at least half a dozen calls about North Platte, which is apparently booming, and I haven't been out there in years.
I've only driven through it in the last couple, maybe 5 years. I've only driven maybe through it once.
Yeah. One of those things. But Lincoln is ever expanding more and more. There's a very much a need for services in Lincoln, and navigating into that is a little bit interesting. It's a different market. So
it's a different town. Different town feel.
Yeah, they're very proud of their space. They like to know that you're there and one of them. That makes a bit of a challenge, and we've talked about maybe even having an office space or some sort of a footprint there for that very reason. And I know I have friends in the construction industry, and they said, there's a reason that we have office space in 4 different locations. Yep. And it's basically, it's an office with a door, and we can at least have an address and say, we do have an office.
No, it's kind of that peace of mind for the locals that are like, hey, we want local, we want to be local. So
correct.
I like that, and that's a good strategic business decision as well. Correct. So I do like that. Hopefully we can see that expansion soon.
We're into Des Moines now as of the last about 6 weeks, so we're expanding a lot more in that area.
Need my applause button.
The ultimate goal, we'd like to get into Kansas City at some point, but I like to think that basically a quote unquote metropolis in the greater Nebraska area, if they have more than about 5,000 people approximately, if I can find a supervisor and I can find workers there, I should be able to help some people out in different areas. So we're starting to branch over a little bit more into Columbus and Fremont and things like that. So again, the chaos-free growth side of things. If I can find someone, I will then market to it from there, or maybe we start with one and then expand on that. We're seeing some success with that strategy.
No, I can for sure believe that as well, because I know especially if you're already looking towards the Columbus area, that Norfolk Columbus area, I did radio up there for years and years and years.
Booming.
It's growing constantly. So if you can find some strong ethic up there for working,
absolutely,
and making sure things are still done the correct way and how you guys have the standard set, I think it's a smart growth plan, a smart move for the future. Big question though, we get it literally everywhere. Does not matter what industry you're in, my industry, your industry. It could be the McDonald's down the corner. Why you? That's the biggest question we always get. So I am curious, and what, in your words, kind of what separates you from the other guys to make it you?
At the end of the day, it comes down to just that. It's us. Everybody is a cleaner. I don't have a magic eraser or an easy button or anything else like that. It comes down to my willingness to educate you, your willingness to listen to me on that side of things, our expertise, our systems, our processes, our attention to detail, and overall just our willingness to build partnerships and relationships, not just be someone who does this certain thing. I constantly say, and I've said it from my previous company because I had great tutelage there, in that it's very easy to devalue the work that we do. I wouldn't say I take great offense to that, but I protect it, and I very much am a proponent of not a lot of people are beating the door down to become a janitor.
You're right.
It also comes down to, as inflation increases, the costs of everything increase. They don't want to increase things as far as the service that we do. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people want to go make $11 to go scrub a toilet when they can make $17 working at McDonald's and not have a lot of accountability. So I say that with respect to everything, but more from the standpoint of this is a specialty. This is a specialized service, and the professionalism that's involved with it from the top down is really the why us. When we take pride in the work that we do, the people that we hire, how they do it, and overall just wanting to do a good job and build a relationship with you, that's the why us.
I love that because, again, you know, I've gotten a lot of answers throughout my time here on the show. And I think we're coming up on 50 episodes even. We're about
congratulations to that.
Thank you. We're actually almost to that point.
You're scraping the bottom of the barrel. You're going to bring me in here, Dylan? Come on now.
We're just getting to the surface.
There you go. There you go.
But no, I get a lot of answers on the why you, and I think that one is a very, very impactful answer, to be honest with you, because it's not again, like you alluded to, there's no magic wand. You're not doing a special process that's different from somebody else potentially. You're not the latest and greatest Shazam, here's the keyword, buzzword, whatever you want to call it. It's, well, you talk to us, and with talking to us, you're going to see why, which I love, because that's just a brass tack of, yes, we are not different from other cleaning services, but we are because of who we are and how we operate, which I love. Great optics standpoint and a fantastic answer to that question.
Thank you.
Toughest challenge that you're faced with in today's market. I know everybody's got their challenges. I'm very curious to see what yours is, and how are you adapting and kind of going around those for your clients and future clients?
I think one of the toughest challenges we do run into is probably twofold. First side of things, more and more people are working remotely. Mm. So I wouldn't say the need is not there, but it's different. Right. It used to be hey, we can count on every office space needing 5 days a week worth of cleaning, and it's going to be X amount, and there's so much traffic coming through, and it's not quite the same as it used to be. So we have to adapt and we have to adjust to that, and hence the reason some of the things with the construction cleans and other things
which
like
makes
that.
Sense.
You know, because at the end of the day, you still have numbers that you want to meet, and you know, you got mouths
business
to feed, and business is still business.
Yeah.
So you adapt on that side of things. But overall, more and more competition coming into play. And I see it more and more every day. And even as I do networking events, and you'd be amazed at how many people I've talked to. Oh, I used to own a cleaning company. Oh, yeah. How was that for you? Oh, you know, this and that and the other thing. Or we tried doing this and this and this. And you see a lot of folks that, we want to do residential and do commercial. Mm-hmm. As we established earlier, it is two separate cleans. If you want to have an overall umbrella of your company and have two different dynamics, great. But a lot of people, I think, simplify it to a point that does devalue the work that we do. And so I think it's no different than somebody that comes into a neighborhood and overspends for their home. It might drive up the value of the other homes, but if you're a purchaser, it kind of screws up the market.
Out of your sales.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's business, though. That's always going to happen. So it makes, when you do have that opportunity to educate and talk to people, it makes it that much more impactful of going, I'm a dad, you're a dad. Hey, at the end of the day, we're just trying to do business, trying to put a little money in our pocket, make sure the kids are fed and have some Nikes and maybe take a vacation and retire someday.
Right.
It doesn't do me any good to try and pull the wool over your eyes and sell you some
Super deluxe
newfangled
package.
whatever, because it doesn't exist. So
this
just
new
be on the
specialty
level,
cleaning product.
right? Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
It's all the rage.
And I've seen it day in and day out. And I think some people just come in and think it's going to be easy and they might win some things over. And what they ultimately do is kind of sour the market. These people get turned and burned. And then by the time you're coming in, their defenses are up and they're a little less willing to be upfront and honest with you, or because they've been undercut with pricing, they really don't want to talk to you because you're probably not going to be the least expensive around. So it's a business issue, but when it's something that we deal with, that's probably the biggest thing that I run into, and you tackle it like you do any other, issue.
Yeah, no, and it makes complete sense. I actually draw a parallel back to growing up in good old Taylor, Burwell, Nebraska.
There you go.
My dad owns his own construction company, so I worked with him a lot of times. And every year, just like here, storm chasers.
Yep.
They'll come in from wherever and anywhere really, and say, "Oh yeah, throw us a deposit. We'll be back in a week, and we'll take care of it." Gone.
Boom.
And what's that do to the rest of it? It makes everybody clam up. They don't trust contractors now. They don't trust anybody. They don't want to talk to you. And, I've watched that firsthand of what that can do to, like you said, the market and the industry that you're in, and how it it doesn't poison the drinking water, so to speak, but it certainly taints an area of it.
You're pushing the boulder uphill a little bit more than you probably have to.
Yeah, there's a guy sitting on the top of it now for no reason. But yeah, I completely draw the parallel, and I completely understand where you're coming from. Now, I am very, very curious to see the best part of your industry that maybe I would never get to see or never get to really experience or know, being Joe Customer.
Gotcha. Well, I guess on my side of things, it's probably I get to see some of the coolest real estate in this town that nobody even would know that existed. I've been in some places where you're like, this is almost out of body. This is Omaha? Like, I would have never guessed that whatsoever. And so being able to be on those tours behind the scenes or behind the doors, kind of like the TV shows you see, like, oh, we're going behind the doors at wherever. I get to do that on a weekly basis and get to see some things. There was an event here a couple of weeks ago here in Omaha, and shout out to them as well. It's called Open Omaha. And that was its whole dynamic was get to see certain things across the city that you may not get to see very often. And I got to go see the Scottish Rite Masonic Lodge. I'd never been in there before. I'd driven by it for years and years. And one of the coolest things, I was there with my 15-year-old daughter, and we were both just blown away. But the reason I say that is I get to see cool things like that all the time. So I very much wanted to take her along to say, hey, I get to see some of these things. And there was a couple of places that I had seen that she would have never been able to go into, but I'm like, I'm taking you here because I want you to see this.
Right, check this out.
See how cool this is. And some of it was even just like an office building, nothing crazy, but they had done a renovation and I had seen it at the beginning of that and then seeing it finished. And she was like, this is so cool. Can you get an office in here? And I'm like, I'm thinking about it. Full disclosure.
Full disclosure.
No pressure, Charlie, if you're going to be listening to this. But regardless, yeah, there you go. But no, seeing those types of things, and then just the wide array of everything. Like I said, we'll do everything from a hospital or a medical clinic that's very white glove, very meticulous, to a manufacturing facility that it's kind of lipstick on a pig, but they deserve a clean restroom as well.
They still deserve clean facilities.
It's one of those things. So I never want to say no job too big, too small, because there are some that are too small that we're not a good fit. But and there's some that are too big that I don't have the bandwidth to do. But in the same regard, everybody deserves to have a clean space, and that's something that we can help provide.
And in the same spirit of that, they at least can have a conversation with you and see, hey, am I the right fit for you? Am I a job too big or too small? And I think that's a really healthy thing that you guys invite at Christenson Cleaning and Restoration Company is just to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
And I think that takes a lot of stress away from business because it's all sales driven. We all know it's always sales driven in the end. But if I can sit down with a professional, he tells me, hey, here's problem A, B, and C that you're wanting to address. Here's where we're coming in at. I don't think that this is a big enough job for my time. I think I'm going to end up overcharging you in the end because of what I'm going to have to cover. that's an honest conversation that I wish was more prevalent.
Brutally honest, me too.
Yeah.
I have one that I'm working on right now. We've been in negotiations for a couple of months. One of the reasons being that the young lady that we were working with had her baby, so she's been on maternity leave. So God bless, really happy for her. But that was one of the things was as I came back with everything, I said, I'm making sure we have to sit down. Mm-hmm. I'm insisting that we actually sit down. I don't like to do just hey, let me email you this over to you, because it gives you an opportunity to understand where I'm coming from, ask me questions. But in this particular case, it was based on the work that you guys had sent over to me, what you were doing on our tour and the scope, everything else like that. Here's where I'm coming in at. I'm fully aware of the fact that that is double what you are currently paying. However, I don't think you need this much based on where we're at, what's going on here, talking to some of the people in the different locations. And this is a multi-building, multi-facility, corporate headquarters situation. I said, I think we can find a happy medium in between. I said, we talked about it from the very get-go. What you're paying now, I have no idea how they're even coming close to meeting any type of an expectation, because that's an absurd number.
And so they're doing like the paper margin.
And they literally said, we couldn't believe it when they told us that too. So, and I go, why wouldn't you take it? Okay, if they think they can say they can do that.
And if they're holding up to their word on it, I mean.
And they're not. And so that's the thing. They're not. They never have. They never would be. And it's a lesson learned by this company, hence the reason we're in there talking to them.
Exactly.
But if we don't get it, we don't get it.
Right.
Some will, but some won't. Who cares? Move on.
That's absolutely a huge key to it.
Just be honest with them. Yep. Just talk with them.
Yep.
Worst case scenarios, they're going to say, no, you didn't have them before. Okay.
Yep. And I draw a lot of parallels to that in my insurance life here of, I don't have the magic wand that everybody thinks I do to change your rate. Nope. I wish I did.
Yeah.
I'd make life a lot easier.
Oh, I get it. I get it. And it's similar with mine. I can't speed up how long it takes to scrub a restroom, to scrub a toilet.
Especially if they've got hard set stain.
And if we do, it's just not going to get done.
Yeah.
And so you can always tell where corners get cut because I said it's time. There's not enough time to do that. So if your bathrooms look great, where are you going to be upset? Oh, well, the office space looks bad. They aren't vacuuming, aren't doing it. I said, yeah, because they don't have enough time to do it. Something is going to take the hit when it comes to that time.
Yep, and I think that's why you talk to professionals like yourself. Jim Rusk, sales manager at Christenson Cleaning and Restoration Cleaning Company. And I think that conversation is the best start point of, hey, I noticed that, I'm not getting what I'm paying for. Where am I getting corners cut on me is probably my question I would ask you. Yeah. If you were coming to talk and I was wanting to get new services, I'd be like, hey, if you're this company right now, where's your corners that you cut first? And that would be the walkthrough.
It's funny because they know. They come in or you can kind of walk in and I've walked in just as many places and went, okay, why am I here? You're just kicking tires, or you're looking for the sake of looking, and that's fine.
Yeah,
and
it's healthy to shop, but absolutely. Not for every deal out there.
But it's also one of those things that having been in other industries as well as a business person, I'm not going to try and take food out of somebody else's mouth, especially when they're doing a fantastic job, just so I can put it in my pocket.
Right.
That's a great way to get a horrible reputation
very quickly
and be out of business very quickly.
Very, very quickly. No, I get that. I'm very curious because you speak with so much passion when we're talking about these services, talking about helping people, talking about getting people the right kind of service. I'm very curious, what's the best part of your industry and what makes you proud or excited to do what you're doing?
I think the best part of our industry really is the people. It's not glamorous work, but they take pride in it. They very much love coming to work. They take pride in the work that they do. And to see people's faces when you go in and whether you're doing an inspection or whether you're just coming in to check on them because they're expanding and doing some other things, just for them to go, man, I can't believe this thing was so gross before and he just got it. And, she always comes in and she always has a smile on her face or things like that. It really does come down to people because like I said earlier, they're not beating the door down to become a janitor, but God bless them. They come in, it's an honest day's work. and they take pride in the work that they do. So having the ability to do something like that and build and grow and scale up your business and help more and more people, I do take a lot of pride in that myself.
I love it. And I think, again, speaking just further testament to your character, because it does show when you're talking about this company and talking about the passion that you have with it. It just is very prevalent when you talk about it. Now, of course, burning question for everybody. Where's the best place to reach you? And how do I get started with you today?
Best place to reach me via email, via cell phone. My email address is my first initial letter J, last name Rusk, R-U-S-K. So J Rusk at ChristensenCleaning.com. Christensen is O-N, not E-N. That's kind of a big thing. A lot of people will notice that. So J Rusk at ChristensenCleaning.com. Or my cell number is 402-469-1434.
Love that. Now, of course, you can always go online as well. Check out the full list of services, but of course, contact Jim Rusk if you are in that position of, hey, we're just not thrilled with our cleaning service right now. Get a professional in there. Tell you exactly what you'd be looking at. Now, Jim.
Okay.
Final part of the show
here. We
Before
go.
we get to the personal aspect of things, anything else you'd like to say for the listeners at home about Christenson Cleaning Company and Restoration?
I think as we're saying now to people, if they are interested in it, one thing that I hear from a lot of people is, oh, I haven't had a price increase in 5 or 6 years. More than likely, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's something that you do want to review on a regular basis. I like to do annual reviews with our folks, because if we do have to have an increase on things, we're going to let you know. I don't want to just send you a form letter and go from there. Hey, guess what? So I think that speaks to more of just the partnership sides of things. I don't want it to be something willy-nilly that nobody knows about. And it's business. If we get let go, we get let go. But at least we know that we're doing what we can do to maintain, to grow, to build that. And in some cases, you're not part of that journey with them, and that's okay. Yeah. We can live with that. But I definitely challenge a lot of people, if they are currently paying for those types of services and maybe they're on the fence, have a conversation.
Never heard.
Just see where it's at. See where the market
dictates.
Have
a conversation with
Absolutely.
a professional. Absolutely. So have that conversation today with Jim Rusk, again, sales manager and at Christenson Cleaning and Restoration Company. Jim, now it's the personal side of the show.
Oh, here it comes.
Oh, yeah.
Here
Burning question. I'm just kidding with you. These are the fun ones. Just to give the listeners a little chance to get to know you a little bit better here. Now, I am a summer child at heart.
Okay.
I'm born in the middle of the summer. I love summertime. I don't care that it gets so brutally hot that you sweat when you breathe. I hate the winter, on the other hand, where the air hurts my face.
I would imagine growing up in Burwell, Nebraska, you very much hate the winter time.
Yes, you do. Yes. Because there are not trees to block the wind that hurts your face. No. So, yes, growing up, so summer is my all-time favorite. I personally look forward to it all the time. Type of season that you look forward to?
I'm a fall guy.
Football guy?
Big time.
Yeah. It's here. And that was the next follow-up.
It's here. Yeah. I am my name is Jim, and I'm a Bears fan for the last 40 years.
Hi, Jim.
I love to tell people, really, they do love me. They don't mean to let me down the way that they have, but this is the year that everything changes. The turn is happening. The tide is changing. God bless us, everyone.
I'm putting some good vibes there.
And Papa Bear is shining down upon us right now. And yeah.
Yeah, get old, what was his name, Brian Urlacher out there and start doing a bear dance out there or something, break the curse.
Yep. But Walter Payton is shining down on us. Papa Bear is shining down on us. Everybody, yes. You know. Three Bears in the Hall of Fame this year alone.
Let's do it.
We got a quarterback. I tell you what,
it's exciting.
It's just palpable, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Broncos fan, so I'm in
God
the
bless
same
you.
boat.
Yeah.
Yep. It's been a rough couple of years.
It has been a rough, but it's the tide is changing.
Yeah,
yes.
Nix looks promising, so that's a good start.
Pick. It's a good pick.
It's a good pick. I think he was a little slept on myself.
Yeah. I agree.
Being that big,
He competes.
and that mobile, holy smokes.
He competes.
Yes, he does. So, big football guy. I'm looking forward to it as well. Are you a Husker guy?
I am a Husker guy.
Okay.
You can't grow up in Nebraska and not be a Husker guy.
I think it just comes par for the course.
I'm kind of that oddball, and anybody who's listening to that who really knows me in most of my entire life, my family lineage is Scots-Irish. And so I've been a Notre Dame fan probably just as long, if not longer, than a Husker fan, despite growing up here. And so when they play, I'm very much the dual threat type of guy. I love the Huskers. I root for him. I think Matt Rule is a fantastic hire. I love everything he's doing to just get culture and pride and things back into there. But there's something about me with Touchdown Jesus and that gold helmet shining and coming out of the tunnel that it gets the old kid choked up here. So I got to root for my Irish as well. So
I love it. So I'm going to ask you for some bold predictions this year. Both teams. We'll give you the Fighting Irish and the Huskers. How do you think they're going to do this year?
I think the Huskers will make a bowl game.
Okay.
I think they will win some games that nobody thought that they will, and I think that they will lose some games that they probably shouldn't, as we as Husker fans know way too much about.
We're notorious for it.
I don't think it will come down to whether or not you beat Iowa to make it into a bowl game. I think they will have that established earlier in the season. I don't foresee any type of Big Ten championship game.
Not this year.
No. But I do see them playing in the middle of the week type of bowl game, if that makes sense. Like a December 27th, like a holiday bowl or something like that. So I see that. I think the Irish are going to be very, very similar. I think there's going to be a lot of letdowns. Their coach is up and coming and doing some good things. They got a big game against A&M this weekend. So starting right out of the chute, and I believe the game's at A&M or in Texas, regardless. That's a tough one. You know, you kind of see what happened last week with Georgia Tech with their pulling off their big win in Ireland, I think it was, wasn't it? So
fun game.
Yeah, fun game. But anytime you get to see Florida State lose, I'm not exactly too upset. Growing up a Husker fan, you know.
Always a thumbs up for that too. I think I'm in similar regards with the Huskers as well. I think personally they're either going to fall at a 3 or 4 loss record this year.
Yeah, I
think that's about where they're going to fall because. And I'm undecided on San Diego State, how that game's going to go.
Yeah.
Because Pac-12 games are always wild. I know the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. There's only 2 teams in it right now, which I don't know how that was allowed to happen.
I think there's something to be said about having, for lack of a better way of putting it, being an NFL guy, there's 2 bye weeks for the Huskers. Yeah. That's never happened in my lifetime. I think that's actually to their advantage.
It might be.
And having his his NFL background, which was shaky to say the least, but regardless, to be prepared. Look at his situation
he was thrown into Carolina, and you look at that GM, he still has problems to this day burning that facility to the ground.
But I have to give a shout out to him because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have DJ Moore or Caleb Williams in Chicago. So thank you to the GM. And I really should thank the guy for everything. I've got the Bears doing well. I got the Huskers doing well. You keep doing your thing over there and see how my teams can benefit from it.
Now, if only he can benefit the Broncos somehow, please.
We can figure something out. I
love it. Now, Jim, last question I got for you today before I have to let you go, because I know, again, thank you for coming out today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. My pleasure on that side of things. Now, in Omaha, I say that jokingly we're spoiled. We have so much to do.
So very much.
So much. And it's always happening, and there's always more being added. So I'm curious, currently, what's your Mount Rushmore of Omaha?
You know, it's interesting because like we've talked about this, seeing these questions before, even when you and I first met and kind of went through some things. And with you being a radio guy, you'll appreciate this little quick tidbit. But Colin Cowherd, the sports radio analyst for years and years and years. I used to listen to him back when I was in my car and you didn't have satellite and some other things like that. Anyways, I bring this up because he did a speaking engagement in Omaha. This is probably 20 years ago. And the whole show on Monday morning was about, if you guys have never been to Omaha, you don't know what you're missing. He goes, who would have ever thought? I think he's from Seattle originally, been on both coasts doing things. And he goes, this middle America, he goes, this was one of the greatest meals I've ever had. Everybody was lovely. Just all the architecture and the culture and just people in general. He was just like, if you want to get a cheap flight or something and do something fun for a long weekend, go to Omaha. And I remember this to this day because so many people will come into here and go, wow,
it's so much different than we expected.
It's so much different. Yeah. So I say this because my Mount Rushmore, the torch and cutter, kind of cutting back to that. I'm a cigar guy. Havana Garage in the old market. There's a big black steel round table or iron table that sits in the front. I have met some of the most fascinating people from across the world, not just the nation. Everything from parents of players of Syracuse players when they were in the Sweet 16 playing Duke, to a Cuban immigrant that came over on a raft and was there for Berkshire Hathaway days because now he works for Berkshire Hathaway and has stock in Berkshire Hathaway, to people that are just moving here and sitting with me and my friends and going, a big reason that we came here. This was one of the places we were looking. We came here because of you and because of this place and how welcoming it is. It's just this melting pot of everything you could think of. And the beauty is you're going there because you like cigars. You don't really get folks that are going there as it's like, oh, let's try this.
Yeah, let's go experiment.
No, we like cigars. We like whiskey. We like, I drink a lot more red wine now, and I like to have that with a cigar. And that's a perfect Sunday afternoon in the fall for me, as my teams have won or they have lost, and I'm sulking. And I can sit there even when it's chilly outside, put a little vest or a jacket on, and light up a cigar. The people watching is fantastic. People walking through with their dogs.
We still have some of the best sunsets, too.
We have phenomenal sunsets. And what they've done with the Leahy Mall, the new renovations and things like that, I don't want to promote it too much because being a guy that lives downtown, I don't like it when a lot of those people come downtown and they muddle up the works and they don't know what they're doing. But seriously, I love sitting down there. You can get takeout from Jackson Street Tavern or M's Pub, or go over to JD Tucker's and have a big tall beer and watch a ball game or do trivia. I like those types of things. All in all, I'm very much a downtown old market type of guy, and
it's had such a revitalization that I think
fantastic,
overdue for the revitalization. But now that it's revamped, I think it's getting like the second wind, so to speak. A lot of people are like, man, it's bringing back the old days a little bit. It's kind of getting back to the bustling and just a feel-good atmosphere back down there.
And you still have like the Capital District as well. And like shout out to Al Lopez and Let It Fly Sports Bar. Al's the GM out there, a buddy of mine. We met at Havana Garage. Hey, there you go, tying it all back. But being able to see and meet and talk to some of the Creighton coaches as well there before, after a game, not before. But then being able to walk over to CHI and the acts that are coming in to Omaha now. I take a lot of pride in that. In College World Series time, you meet some fantastic people, and everybody loves coming to Omaha. And the NCAA, as much as I don't like them, they love Omaha.
They do. And
absolutely.
There's a lot of professional organisms organisms too, probably fits them too. They are looking at Omaha and Lincoln areas because they realize what a hub we have here.
Correct.
And especially, thinking on it from a pro scale, you have a stadium in the middle of America.
Yep.
Where's the most neutral site you can ever go?
Absolutely.
The middle.
Absolutely.
There it is.
The dad of he was a starting point guard for Syracuse. This has probably been 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer, and I apologize. But we had the Sweet 16, and it was I think Jim Boeheim's last year, one of the last years that Coach K was there. I literally had just driven down because I'm a Duke basketball fan.
I'm a big Duke fan.
I love Mike Krzyzewski. He sits right up there with Ditka and everybody else. Coach K's the man. And he's a Chicago guy. Big Bears fan.
I'll give you some credit there on that one. He is the guy when it comes to basketball.
But sitting there and talking to this guy, and he said, I love it here in Omaha. He said, I was at the Big East tournament. I think it was maybe ACC tournament, regardless, whatever they were at that time, probably ACC. But he said, I was in Brooklyn last week. My hotel room cost me $500 a night, and it was a closet. There was nothing in there. He goes, I had breakfast, and it cost me $75, and the eggs were awful, and yada, yada, yada. He goes, I have basically a suite here for $150 or $200. He goes, I went to this little like dive place, and he goes, got a $10 breakfast, and he goes, I haven't had to eat all day because it was so good. And even when he had come in there, we were in the humidor in Havana, and he was looking for a particular cigar, and I pointed him out in the right direction, and he came upstairs and was kind of asking how to do everything. And I said to my friend Rob, who's one of the bartenders, I said, Rob, make sure you get his first drink and put it on me. And, welcome to Omaha. Enjoy your stay. And the place was packed. Heck so he comes there and he goes, can I sit with you? I'm like, absolutely. Come on. He said, well, you didn't have to buy me a drink. But I said, no, whatever, $10 drink, whatever. God bless. You're a nice guy. Thanks for coming out and spending some money here. And that's when he was telling me about everything, of how much he loved it. And little things like that have stuck with me. Yeah. I didn't grow up here. My parents and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles are from here. So I spent a lot of time in Omaha growing up. So I still kind of consider myself, those that might know it, an East Omaha kid. I had grandparents in North Omaha. I had grandparents in South Omaha, and anything. I don't get past 90th Street very often unless it's during a work day, and people tease me about it. But I like old Omaha. I like downtown. I like still going into Florence. I like going down and doing stuff in South Omaha. So I'm very proud of it and take a lot of pride in it.
I love that, and I think that just further testaments to who you are as a person, how you operate as a human being in general. Now, Jim, time's come to an end, unfortunately, as all good things do.
As all things good do.
Yeah. Now, Jim Rusk, he is the sales manager at Christenson Cleaning and Restoration Company. Jim, before we part ways, anything else for the listeners at home before we flip the switch?
I don't think so, other than the fact that, again, thank you for this opportunity. If you guys aren't listening to what Dylan is doing here, you're missing out. I doubt that I'm going to drive the traffic too much here, buddy. But
well, I appreciate
but
that.
Regardless, some really interesting topics that I know you have gotten into in the past. Some really interesting people that you may not have known about. So,
very much so.
Worth giving it a listen and going here and there. And I'm a podcast guy because I have a lot of windshield time. And my 24-year-old son was actually joking with me 6-7 months ago, and he said I caught myself actually driving down the road, and I put on a podcast and realized, oh my gosh, I'm just like my father.
Dad.
So, haha, there you go, Peyton Rusk.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Well, Jim, again, the pleasure's been mine. I really appreciate the fact that you were able to make some time out of your schedule, come on out, have a conversation with you, and be one of the very first, I think, if the first cleaning company on the show.
All right. Even better.
Yeah, I love
Number one in your heart and on the playlist. There we go.
An old Replacements reference for you. But that's going to wrap up our time together. Of course, the amazing Jim Rusk, sales manager at Christenson Cleaning and Restoration Company, right here in Omaha. Of course, they are a Nebraska-based company. Look them up today for your commercial cleaning needs. And of course, you got us right here, and we'll have more coming up next time on the UIA Trusted Partners Podcast.